is the City of Southfield's regular City Council meeting for Monday, August 23rd, 2021 at 6 p.m., being held via WebEx. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Banks.
Present.
Brightwell.
Here.
Cruz. Frazier.
Here.
Haskins.
Here.
Mandelbaum.
Present.
Taylor.
Here.
Madam President, you do have a quorum of excused Councilman Cruz.
Thank you. Now I'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we have a presentation, a joint presentation of the council, myself, and our mayor. And it's from regarding the DTE energy outages that we've been having. The discussion with Move On has a petition that the city of Southfield has joined in with. And Mayor, I'll ask if you could give more information on this.
Certainly. Good evening, council and listening audience. We have begun a petition on moveon.org regarding the poor service that we have received from DTE, our electric monopoly. This petition was prompted by the level of resident complaints in Southfield and Lathrop Village with DTE. And it really started with the fact that both the city administrator and I, as mayor, contacted DTE following the storm of August 11th and 12th and failed to get a response. The petition is also born out of repeated power failures, and not all of them are storm related. We certainly understand that we've had 4 very powerful storms this summer. However, we've had numerous reports from residents on a fine day like today, all of a sudden the power goes out, and it's due to equipment failures. We also are decided to launch this petition drive because of inaccurate reporting on power restoration. Many people reported that they got a message from DTE, or they went online and it said your power will be restored at this hour of the day. Power didn't come back on. Maybe another message, power didn't come back on. In some cases, it was days later after they were initially told their power to be restored. Our other reasons for launching this petition drive is the lack of thoroughness in tree trimming. I had an experience in my own neighborhood where the contractor clearly wasn't cutting trees wide enough or the limbs back far enough. When I asked to speak to a supervisor, the supervisor came out and said, "Oh, no, that's our standard." It was no surprise to me that in my own neighborhood, we had power outages due to tree limbs falling on power lines, even though there was a good amount of tree trimming done this spring by DTE contractor Davey Tree in the 8 to 10 mile Greenfield to Lasher area of Southfield. And finally, our reason for this petition is the slow restoration of power. 3 days is a lot, but we had people and businesses, and by the way, I heard from also complaints from the Chamber of Commerce, so this wasn't just resident complaints. People without power for 5, 6, 7, 8 days. That is absolutely inexcusable. So there was a very slow response to power restoration in Southfield and Lathrop Village. We sent out a press release announcing this petition drive last week. I appeared on the 11 o'clock news on Channel 4 last Thursday night, and on Friday morning, I received not one but 2 calls from DTE executives apologizing for the slow response and admitting that they have old equipment in Southfield that is part of the problem for the power failures, as well as the lack of thoroughness in tree trimming. There were numerous apologies. Of course, that doesn't go very far with our residents who have lost food. I spoke to a woman who said she lost $2,000 worth of medication due to the power failure at her home, and just the overall inconvenience that this causes. So we are encouraging people to sign this petition, and you can do it 2 ways. You can go to moveon.org and then hit the where it says on the main page, it says browse petitions. You click on that, and then you do a search and just then type in City of Southfield, and you'll find our petition to hold DTE Energy accountable for excessive power outages. You can also go to the city's website and click on the link. It's on the front page of our website under news, and that will take you directly to the Move On petition. I'd also like to ask people to spread the word about this. This is not a Southfield and Lathrop Village only petition. Anyone can sign. And I have had calls from as far away as Monroe wondering if they could join the petition. While it's sponsored by the City of Southfield, anyone can respond. So I would encourage people to contact others through social media and share this link. This petition will be presented to DTE and to the Michigan Public Service Commission. That's all I have for the moment, Council President Taylor. I'm sure you have something you'd like to add.
No, that you covered everything. Thank you very much. And I didn't get calls from Monroe, but I did from Farmington and Farmington Hills. And yes, please, I will join you in encouraging people to send the link along so that we can have more people sign on to the petition. I think right now we have somewhere around 700 signatures, but the more people sign on, the more powerful the statement it will make. So thank you very much. Next, we have our public hearings. And we have a few public hearings tonight, so we're going to go through them as thoroughly as possible. The first public hearing is PSV 21-0001, the vacation request by the Armenian Apostolic Society. And I believe, Mr. Crode, you're on.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Crow, before you start, I just want to let the people know that I am on the call. This is Councilman Cruz. Thank you.
Okay. Evening. The property is located at 22001 Northwestern Highway. It's on the east side of Southfield Freeway, north of Lenore Ave. And as you stated, it's request to vacate 40-foot wide Cardiff Place right away. Adjacent to and north of lot 557 and 20-foot wide public alley adjacent to and east of lots 546 through and 557, inclusive of Magnolia number 1 subdivision. Next slide. The parent parcel is shown there in red, and the church owns the orange parcel as indicated. Next slide. And the existing conditions is there's a private service drive over the former alley, which is controlled at Lenora Ave, limiting traffic to emergency vehicles only. Next slide. There's a photo of that. Next slide. And the proposed alley vacation is shown here in blue. Next slide. And then we're recommending that after the alley has been vacated, that all the lots are combined into one future lot combination. This is an existing site. These conditions have existed for many, many years. And through their due diligence with some improvements, it was discovered that these lots still are on the books and would like to have an alley vacation. Next slide. We have the petitioner and some representatives on the line. Before we go to a public hearing, would you like to make any comments about the need and why you're asking for the vacation?
You there?
Hello?
Hello. Hello.
Did you want to make any comments before?
No, I just want to thank the council and mayor and council president Taylor for the opportunity to speak. And as you had mentioned, Terry, we were not aware of the remnants of former Cardiff and the alley, adjacent alley, and we want to thank Planning Commission and the Assessor's Office for helping us vacate it and combine the assessment parcel, 2 assessment parcels into one single parent. Thank you.
All right, Madam Chair, if you're ready, if there's no other comments, you could open the public hearing and then we can answer any questions the council may have afterwards.
Sure, okay. This is a public hearing for PSV 21-0001, the vacation request of the Armenian Apostolic Society. I now declare the public hearing open. If there's anyone on the call or on the phone or on the lines that would like to speak to this topic, please raise your hand and you will be acknowledged. Madam
Madam
Clerk.
President, I have all the lines open right now. No one has pressed *3 to be recognized.
Okay. Seeing that there's no one calling in for this particular item, I will now declare the public hearing closed. I will go to council, and I'll start with you, Mr. Brightwell.
No comment, no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Cruz.
Nothing for me, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Frazier.
I have no questions.
Thank you. Councilman Hoskins.
No questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Mandelbaum.
This just makes perfect sense. No questions.
Thank you. And Councilwoman Banks.
Thank you. I would like to disclose that I will be abstaining from the vote this evening. for the vacation request, as I am a lifelong invested member of St. John's Armenian Church. Thank you.
Do you
Thank
own
you.
1% of it?
No comments, Mr. Frazier.
I mean, that's what you get for abstaining.
Thank you. Mr. Crode, did you want to?
I just I have the recommended resolution is in your packet, and a summary of that resolution is provided on the screen. And if
Okay.
there's no other questions, I recommend approval.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, did you have any comments before we go to the vote? Okay, hearing none. Council, are you ready to?
Madam Chair,
Mhm.
this is Councilman Mandelbaum. I'd like to move that we approve PSV 21-0001.
Support?
Thank you. It's been motioned by Councilman Mandelbaum, supported by Councilman Frazier for the approval of PSV 21-0001, the vacation request by the Armenian Apostolic Society. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Brightwell,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Frazier,
Yes.
Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
and Banks.
I abstain. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
All right.
thank you. And the petitioner needs to just follow up with the assessor's office to do a lot combination.
Okay. The next public hearing is for the Economic Development Initiative on the establishment of the Commercial Rehabilitation District under Public Act 210 of 2005.
Good evening, Council President. This is Rochelle Freeman, Business and Economic Development Director for the city. The city
Good
is in
evening.
receipt of a request from Arbortown 2 LLC for a commercial exemption certificate to develop the excess parking lot at 20300 Civic Center Drive associated with Arbor Lofts Complex. This item was reviewed at the August 9th meeting. I have Gal Karp and Ed Siegel that have a short presentation to offer this evening. After that, we are requesting to hold two separate public hearings, one for the establishment of the rehabilitation district under PA 210 for Civic Center Drive Commercial Rehabilitation District number 1. And after, if that's approved, then we have a request to approve their request for 6 years of exemption certificate. So, Gal, are you online?
Nice to hear from you guys again. And we're back, I guess, for the second part of this meeting.
Would you like to start your presentation, Gal?
Oh, sure. This is what we did last time. Let's see. So we are planning to develop the 60 units in the parking lots. We've been working on this for a few years, and I think you can see some of the drawings right there. We're going to start with the units right on Civic Center Drive. They'll be most noticeable. We'll probably, I think the plans are already approved. There's a few adjustments with the building department and some engineering to review. I know we have a meeting, I think it's on Wednesday, with our engineers to review how the sewer connects and utilities and so on. So we're excited about, we're making some progress right there. But the first phase will be I think it's 24 units right on Civic Center Drive. Some of the other landscaping that you'll see on the corner, as well as my favorite thing, the dog park that we want to get going on. But that's pretty much the plan. The units are some one bedrooms, some two. We have carports that a lot of our tenants are requesting to have, especially for the winter months. If we turn to the next slide, let's see what we got here. Okay, so you can see sort of the background there, how the cars are parked. Somewhat similar to the project that's off of Evergreen, only this is more modern to match the current building we have there. You can see some of the aerial views and the views from the front. We hope some of the residents who live here will have patio access right on Civic Center Drive and sit out and enjoy the beautiful street there. If we can go to the next slide. Now you see another aerial view, what it looks like from further out, including the parcel just next door to us across Central Park that I understand is working on some nice designs as well. Let's go to the next slide. So let's see, 60 units, as we said. The site improvements you can see right there between landscaping and so on. Our landscaper and our landscape architect, Mike, are speaking with Noreen and going over some of the details, I think Wednesday, Thursday this week. So if it's a different day, but I know it's scheduled for this week. And that should help out a lot with moving forward with the entire project. We want to go to the next page. Some of the benefits. Let me see if I can see this a little better. There we go. So we're increasing the density. There's certainly a need for the additional units in this area. And the last thing I think anyone wants us to see is a big empty parking lot with nothing going on in it. This should be a significant improvement to the area and provide housing, prettier plants, landscaping, and fresh new units that, of course, people love to have new apartments, new condos, and so on. So let's go to the next page. So I think, Rochelle, you're a little more adept at the specific proposal of the creation of the district.
Right. So again, this project, they are looking to put the 60 to 66 new units at a $13 million investment. And we are looking to create the district over the entire property located at 20300 Civic Center Drive. And it's anticipated that this project will be completed by 2022. While they're looking for the property values to be frozen for 6 years, the city will continue to collect $181,948 in taxes based on the land and the current value of the structures. And I believe that's the whole presentation. Is there a next slide? Great. So at this time, Madam Chair, we would look to open the public hearing again to establish the district.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I declare that the public hearing is open for the Economic Development Initiative to establish the Commercial Rehabilitation District under Public Act 210. Madam Clerk, would you please open the lines? And anyone that wishes to speak to this topic, please push *3 to raise your hand.
Hello,
Yes, hi.
Madam President.
Yes, hi.
I'm having trouble getting on the city site, and we were just now able to get the numbers. So is it possible that you could just repeat? I know you're saying this is a public hearing to establish the district, but I'm not aware of who we're establishing the district for.
It's for the Arbortown number 2 LLC.
Okay. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, go right ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay, Pamela Gerald, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 48037-0155. My telephone number is 346-0439. I'm in favor of establishing this district. I think that Arbor Lofts have been excellent corporate citizens in the city of Southfield. I think they showed you their ability and what they're able to do in reference to housing just with the apartment complex that they have only a stone's throw away from City Hall. A lot of apartment complexes come in our city, and after a couple of years, for whatever reason, they go down. The property is not well maintained. But I think that Arbor Lofts and this new thing that they want to do with these apartments/houses or townhouses, I think is going to be a wonderful thing for the city of Southfield, and I'm certainly in favor of establishing the district that would allow them to do such a thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there another?
Madam President, it doesn't appear to be another.
Okay, thank you. Hearing none, I will now declare the public hearing closed, and I will go to our council for comment. And I'll start with you, Mr. Cruz.
I have no comments. I'm very much in favor of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Frazier?
Yes. This is for 6 years. When we get all done with it, it's for 6 years, is it?
At this time, we're simply requesting to establish the district. At the
Yeah, I
next
understand
public
that.
hearing,
I
they
know
are
it's a
asking for 6
two-part.
years.
Okay.
I'm sorry?
I have no problem with establishing the district.
Thank you. Councilman Hoskins?
No questions for me on this. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. Councilman Mandelbaum?
No, I think this is great. I'm no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Banks?
No questions, thank you.
And Councilman Brightwell?
No questions.
Thank you. Council, I will entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, this is Councilman Brightwell.
Yes.
I move that we approve the initiative.
Is there support? Thank you. Thank you. It's been moved by Councilman Brightwell, supported by Councilman Cruz, to approval to establish the Economic Development Initiative to establishment of the Commercial Rehabilitation District under Public Act 210 of 2005. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Cruz?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Hoskins?
Yes.
Mandelbaum?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Banks?
Yes.
And Brightwell.
Yes.
Thank you. Now we have the second part of this for the exemption certificate under PA 10 of 2005.
Yes, Madam President, this is again Rochelle Freeman. Arbor Town 2 LLC is requesting a commercial rehabilitation exemption certificate under PA 210 of 2005 as amended. They are seeking 6 years. For the last several projects that we've approved, they have been for 5 years. Arbor Town 2 stated that due to the costs and that 6 years would be most helpful for them in order to, with all the costs of inflation that we're experiencing right now, to make this project feasible for them. So that's why they're requesting 6 years. And so we'd like to open the public hearing for this topic, and we'll be happy to answer questions after.
Okay, thank you. See, this is a public hearing for the Economic Development Initiative application for the exemption certificate. under Public Act 210 of 2005. I now declare this public hearing open. If there's anyone on the line that would care to speak to this topic, please press *3 and be recognized by the clerk.
This is Pamela Gerald, Madam Chair. I said Arbor Loft. Is it Arbor Town?
I'll let you explain that, Ms. Freeman.
Certainly. The owners of Arbor Lofts are continuing to develop their property by adding 66 more units to surround the existing Arbor Loft apartment complex. They're making a $13 million investment at the location. Thank you.
So we're on number C, which is the application for the rehabilitation exemption certificate under PA 210. Is that the one we're on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Pamela, thank you so much for the clarification. Pamela Gerald, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 48037-0155. My telephone number is 248-346-0439. Again, I am in support of the Economic Development Initiative for Arbor Town Phase 2. They've done a wonderful job in our city with the Arbor Loft Apartments. The company has been excellent corporate citizens supporting all of our community initiatives. They keep the place very nice, neat. It's full, and it just says a whole lot. Southfield is changing, and it used to be a city of a lot of mature people, including myself, and it does seem like it's changing. I was made aware of the fact that Southfield added 6,000 new residents during the census, so hopefully we're getting some of the younger traffic or the younger people into our city for that walkable traffic that they enjoy so much. And I like the Arbor Lofts, and I know from the renderings that we saw for Arbor Town when they came to City Council before that it's going to be a very good look for the city. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, so we see brownstones. And when I saw the project, that's immediately what I thought about. I thought about brownstones and that whole concept, and I'm in total support of it. And I wish the organization continued success. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Madam President, it doesn't appear to be anyone else for public comment.
Thank you. Seeing none, I will now declare the public hearing closed. Council, I will go to you, and I'll start with you, Councilman Frazier. Okay, we'll come back. Councilman Hoskins.
No questions for me on this. Thank you.
Councilman Mandelbaum.
No questions for me. Thank you.
Councilwoman Banks.
No questions, thank you.
Councilman Brightwell.
I have a question. I think I may have asked this before, but with the 66 units, if it's built to capacity, how many human beings does that constitute, and how many cars, automobiles, would be additional cars in the city and additional people for this particular phase?
I can chime in. There used to be, I think, over 500 parking spaces years back that were occupied, and there'll be, most of them are one bedroom, so probably, 80, 90 cars more in the parking lot for the units that will be there.
Okay. So you said most of them are, so that means 66 people? That's what you're averaging out, that's what you think, potentially?
Yeah, most are one bedrooms. We do have in the current building 2s and 3s, so obviously there's 2 cars for those people, but most of the new ones are 1 bedrooms.
Okay. Okay. Good enough. Thank you. I probably asked that before, but it wasn't in my notes. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Cruz?
No questions for me, Madam President.
Thank you. And Councilman Frazier?
Yeah, I apologize. I thought I had unmuted myself. Apparently I went back to mute, but what I was going to say is that over the years, meeting after meeting, we've either done tax abatements or given abated some tax dollars, and I would like to know how many of these do we have that were supposed to come due at some point in time. I know we're asking for 6 years on this one, and we're going to collect. I think it's $181,000, but I would like to know what can we expect down the road as these things reach maturity. But I'm in favor of this.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Freeman, would you like to answer Mr. Frazier?
Certainly. We do have several projects that are still thriving in the city because we offered assistance to them. Many of them are in the middle of their exemption period. I'd be happy to provide a list to City Council for the next meeting or in the interim. I don't have the exact number of projects in front of me today. Perhaps our city assessor who's on the call has an accurate number right now, but most of the projects are in some sort of interim phase. And so they all seem to be doing very well. With the one exception, we assisted the hotel and just based on COVID, they've been doing fair, but they would probably be the only one that's struggling. But still, their property has continued to increase in its value. But I'd be happy to get you that list, Councilman Frazier and City Council.
Yes,
Yes,
thank you.
that
That would be
helpful.
thank you. Yes, that would be helpful to provide to the council and Mr. Frazier. Thank you.
I am part of the council.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other comments? Mayor, do you have any comments? Okay, hearing none. Rochelle, did you want to add anything else?
No, again, we have the attached resolution. They are seeking an application for Arbortown 2 LLC for a commercial rehabilitation exemption certificate under PA 210 of 2005 as amended for 6 years. And again, we've been notified that they anticipate completing this project by the end of 2022. Thank you.
Okay. Council, may I have a motion?
This is Councilman Brightwell.
Yes.
That we approve item C, the Economic Initiative, the Development Initiative application from Arbortown 2 LLC for a commercial rehabilitation exemption certificate under PA 210.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Brightwell, supported by Councilman Mandelbaum for the approval of the commercial rehabilitation exemption certificate under PA 210 of 2005 as amended for 6 years. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Frazier,
Yes.
Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
and Brightwell.
Yes.
Thank you. We do have our next public hearing for the Economic Development Initiative for Diversified Management Plus, doing business as Melrose 10 LLC. And this is to establish an industrial development district under Public Act 198 of 1974 as amended.
Yes, thank you, Council President Taylor. This is again Rochelle Freeman. As we discussed at the August 9th City Council meeting, we've received a request from Easy Online Solutions for an exemption of their personal property tax pursuant to Public Act 328 of 1998 as amended. In order to accomplish the exemption that they're requesting, it's necessary for the city to establish a district in which they can place the project into the district. In this case, the owners of the property, Diversified Management Plus, doing business as Melrose 10 LLC, is requesting the district. As we presented on August 9th, James Poland of Easy Online Solutions, who is a vice president, as well as the owner who is joining us today, Brad Mitchell, and some other of their staff, will offer a short presentation, and then we would like to move into the first public hearing. So Brad and James, are you on?
I am.
Hi there. You'd like to start your presentation?
I would. Thank you very much for the introduction, and thanks for having us here this evening. My name is James Poland. I'm the Vice President of Easy Online Solutions. With me is Brad Mitchell, the President, and Jack Palmer, who's our Project Manager, overseeing construction here in Southfield. A little bit about us is we operate multiple brands, which provide data center and internet infrastructure services. These services include dedicated servers, managed hosting support, cloud computing, and cloud storage. Primarily, these services are used to host websites, deliver multimedia, perform backups, and provide secure VPN connectivity for companies in the region. So Easy Online Solutions actually has a long history of operations in the region, and we were founded right here in Southfield in 1999. At the time, lack of infrastructure, which in our business is primarily global internet connectivity of significant size or diversity, and it caused us to relocate our data center operations to Miami, Florida. Since then, connectivity's exploded, and it's actually grown significantly in Southfield, and we've been excited to return our data center operations back home here. Next slide, if you would. So this slide describes a few of our products. I'd really like to call attention to the middle column here. Cloud hosting is a real differentiator for us. It positions us to compete against the largest providers in the web hosting industry, specifically Amazon AWS or Microsoft and Google. And I just want to note that it's important to differentiate is that we're building this cloud infrastructure as a turnkey service for other customers or other businesses to build their own properties. So we're not necessarily building this just for our own applications or our own content. This is internet infrastructure. Next slide, if you will. So these are some of the pictures from the start of our construction. The facility we're building is truly state of the art. So not only is the space beautifully designed, we've also planned for some of the most advanced cooling and power delivery systems in data center deployments. It helps in a sales pitch, but it's a real differentiator in our staffing as well. You know, we like to think that it serves to attract and retain top talent from the region. Everybody wants to come and work in a happy and beautiful environment, and we truly believe that we're creating that. Additionally, I would like to point out that we're in it for the long haul here. We've signed a 10-year lease on the space with an additional 10-year option to renew. So this is a long-term commitment, and we anticipate our presence as helping to attract other high-tech businesses who need our products. Next slide, please. So as we grow our presence in Southfield, we anticipate adding 40 plus high-tech jobs. We have a company culture that I'm particularly proud of. It promotes original thought. We have an environment where employees can feel comfortable sharing their ideas. These positions are high paid, and in most cases, they're above market rate compensation. We include generous time off, fully paid for health insurance, beautiful office space, and we really think that these offerings come together to attract some of the best and brightest. Next slide. So we're Michigan natives, and we're excited about bringing our data center operations back to Southfield. You know, of note on this slide, this talks about some of our investment here, but of note is that the 500 gigabit of new dark fiber that's been installed. We've also been able to leverage our existing connectivity in Miami to broker bandwidth rates that are lower than other businesses in the area have, and it's helped to bring bandwidth prices down for everybody. Next slide. So this is a technical number, the 1.12 PUE, but what it really speaks to is that our facility, day one, will be one of the greenest, most powerful data centers and most power efficient, data centers in the world. Doing this is more expensive. It requires more expensive technologies such as flywheels instead of batteries. But there's a long-term payback, and we're really buying into the future. So some of these technologies that we're investing in have 7-year plus ROIs versus some of the less efficient technologies. So the reason I mentioned this, though, is that it really highlights our long-term commitment to operating here in Southfield. Next slide, please. So why here? Besides being our origin, Southfield truly offers the best access to global internet carriers in the region. There's lots of fiber and carrier diversity and competition in the area that allow us to pick and choose from the best. Additionally, we have a direct benefit from the cold winters that we all so much enjoy, and we actually are able to obtain up to 5 months free cooling with the cooling technology that we've selected. Not the least of which access to qualified candidates. So Southfield and the region have a strong history of technical and capable candidates. We're excited to tap into that pool for our data center operations. One thing of note is since we last presented this, we've introduced an employee mortgage incentive. So this includes at least 3 months of mortgage or rent payments to employees who relocate to Southfield. And we'd also be covering any moving expenses that are incurred to relocate those employees. This has a real benefit for us. A portion of these positions have an on-call component. So this incentive, we'd like to have our employees as close to the facility as possible so that if we do have an issue in the middle of the night, we have somebody that's able to respond rather quickly. And then lastly, any accommodations for out-of-town contractors or visitors will be made here in Southfield hotels. Next slide. So why we should be considered for a tax abatement. Internet and cloud hosting require a fixed resource availability. So in many cases, that relationship is as small as 1-to-1, where a single asset's only available for a single customer to use. Unlike in manufacturing, where a single piece of tooling could be used to produce millions of product, cloud hosting doesn't have that multiplicative relationship. So a personal property tax abatement will allow us to more effectively compete on the global stage. We're pitted against some of the largest corporations in the world, and every competitive advantage is necessary for our success. Our goal is to bring business back to Michigan, away from Seattle, Washington, away from Ashburn, Virginia, and make cloud storage and hosting directly available here. Every dollar that's spent on personal property tax is another dollar that isn't being used to grow and expand our Southfield infrastructure or to hire more Southfield employees. We need the ability to hire, and this tax abatement would help us considerably.
Thank you, James, for that presentation. Again, this is Rochelle Freeman. They are looking to make up to a $22 million investment over the next 10 years in technology, fixtures, and furniture. They are occupying 16,491 square feet at 21671 Melrose Avenue. Again, Madam Chair, we would like to hold a public hearing to establish the industrial development district at 21671 Melrose Avenue. The second public hearing, if this is approved, is to approve the exemption of their personal property. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you could back the slide up one, we're still on D for the public hearing. This is a public hearing for the Economic Development Initiative to establish an industrial development district under the Public Act 198 of 1974 as amended at the 21671 Melrose Avenue here in Southfield. I now declare the public hearing open. And if there's anyone that would like to speak to this topic, please push *3 to be recognized by the clerk.
Madam President,
Yes, hi.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm a bit confused because at the beginning of her presentation, she mentioned Diversified Management Plus, and then she said Easy Online Solutions. So which one is it, or are they one and the same?
Council President, Diversified Management Plus are the property owners. They are the ones that are requesting the establishment of the district for the tenant, which is Easy Online Solutions. Thank you.
So did we hear from Diversified Management Plus? Because there's two separate things, Madam President, isn't it? There's to establish the district, and then there's the application.
Right. The public hearing right now is just to establish the district.
So this is for Diversified Management Plus.
Doing business as the Melrose 10 LLC.
Okay. And is this going to be near 8 Mile and Lasser?
I'm not sure of the location. It's 21671 Melrose Avenue.
Yes, that's correct. It is near 8 Mile and Lasser.
Okay. Well, my name is Pamela Gerald. My address is P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 48037-0155. My telephone number is 248-346-0439. And as I was listening to the presentation, I heard the company say that they were established or founded here in Southfield in 1999, and with the faulty equipment that is being used sometimes, or the connection that we have for these council meetings, I'm not always able to hear, or the volume and the sound just kind of dims out on our end, and I'm using a headset. But I heard you say something about Miami, Florida, and then you said we're coming back because Southfield has grown. At the end of what I'm going to ask, I would appreciate if Mr. James or Brad Mitchell, or probably not Mr. Jack Palmer because he's construction, but if you would just mention about the Miami, Florida, and then coming back to Southfield. So did I understand the presenters accurately to say that you were founded in Southfield, you left Southfield, went to Miami, Florida, and now you want to come back to Southfield? So is that because the real estate market has changed in Miami, Florida? Meaning, is the rent more expensive? Is it more expensive due to the pandemic? Are the options of getting what you want better in Michigan due to the pandemic? I'm just not sure because I wasn't able to hear all of what your people were saying. And for the people that are listening, it would be a good idea if you could up the volume to your microphone, because I'm really struggling to hear a lot of what's being said. And if the volume is not low, it's crumbling audio sounds as if someone is rambling a potato chip bag. And it's very disruptive when we're trying to hear and we're not able to hear. So I don't know if I can say or speak to anything. I thought I had something to say, but I didn't hear the whole presentation, and it wouldn't be fair for me to give an opinion one way or another because I didn't hear it all.
Okay, thank
Hi. Oh, this is Brad Mitchell. So I'm the president and owner of Easy Online Solutions. Thank you very much for your question. I would like to do my best that I can to answer it for you. So we are now and always have been a Michigan-based business. So over the last 20 years, I've had multiple offices in Southfield and then also Farmington Hills and Bingham Farms. And I guess you asked a couple questions in there, and I would really like to answer each one of them. So our servers, our server farm, as you might call it, of course, was originally located here and actually in Southfield and on Lasser in one of the data centers. And it was back in 2006, I had to make the difficult decision to move.
excuse me if I may. Could you hold your response to after I close the public hearing? I just need to make sure that there's no other questions that we might have to ask you to answer as well. We usually answer all questions at the same time after the public hearing closes.
I apologize.
No. I apologize for not stopping you sooner. So it's not a problem at all. Madam Clerk, is there anyone else on the line for this particular topic that would like to speak?
Madam President, at this time, it doesn't appear to be anyone else.
Okay, hearing none and seeing none, I will now declare the public hearing closed. Now you may please continue. I just needed to close the public hearing before you could respond.
Thank you very much. So to answer the question as to why did we move our equipment and servers from Southfield, in 2006, it was quite a long time ago now in the terms of the internet, but back then people started to move pictures and videos more. Like today, all of us, we have a very media rich experience on our phones where you can be on your cell phone and watch videos, but basically back then, the challenge that I had as a business owner who was not competing locally or even regionally for business, but competing globally and nationwide, was that there were not actually enough phone companies here in Southfield selling competitive internet access. And so when I did the original move from the data center here in Southfield down to Miami, Florida, I moved to a data center in Miami that's considered to be one of the 5 major hubs in North America for the internet. And what this allowed me to do was have a competitive buying. It's a competitive place for buying. So here, I had access to the phone companies that you would imagine, companies like AT&T and 2 or 3 other ones. But when I moved the business to Miami, I had more than 100 phone companies competing for our business. And this allowed us to buy internet access at a cost that allowed us to compete globally. Now, if we fast forward to 2021 to today, the fiber infrastructure in our area has changed and it's improved. I've always been living here. Myself and all of my key staff were all born and raised Michiganders. None of us moved. I hired new staff down in Miami, but it's always been my desire to bring the business home, especially as I'm getting older. And because, to be honest, as I go to work each day, I think it would be really great to see all of our assets and infrastructure rather than to have it be so far away. But what's changed today is there are more telco companies that are available in Southfield. Southfield is basically the hub of the internet in Michigan. So it's a very important place in terms of where phone companies meet. And so with advances in technology, the fiber that's in the ground has been able to, over the same fiber, which is glass, it allows more connectivity to be brought into this area. So we're able to reach companies and buy internet at the prices that we need to be competitive globally. To answer your question, is the rent more expensive down in Miami? The answer to that is a little bit more complex. I would say no, that's really nothing to do with our reason for moving, because the expenditure here for me to invest and build a state-of-the-art data center is really significant versus us just being a tenant of a different data center in Miami. But in order to see through my business vision of where I would like to take the business, I think that we can more flexibly grow the business and add many more thousands of servers if we're the actual data center operator and deploying these types of cloud services. So I hope that this does answer your question. In terms of, you had a technical question about how you're hearing this call. That's really a Cisco service, I think, on this WebEx that we're all doing, and that's an outside service provider, so I wouldn't know how to help with that.
Thank you, Brad, for helping to clarify some of those. Council President Taylor, if there's any other questions, we're happy to answer. And again, this district, we're looking to set the district up so that we can put the project into the district.
Thank you. Yes, this is to establish the industrial development district. So council, I'll open it up to you for questions, and I'll start with you, Mr. Hoskins.
Thank you, and I enjoyed the presentation. I just had one quick question, just about the one of the incentives I saw in your in your PowerPoint is the incentive for offering homeowners or renters the 3 months of payments. I just want to make sure that's only if they only if they buy or rent in Southfield?
That is for new employees that relocate, new or existing employees that relocate to Southfield, and that also includes any associated moving costs to make that transition.
Okay, that is actually very wonderful. I'm glad you are. I'm glad you're able to offer that and able to help grow our population here in Southfield. So thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Thank you. Councilman Mandelbaum?
I have no questions. Welcome to Southfield. Thank you for coming back.
Thank you. Councilwoman Banks?
I would just like to comment that I had the opportunity to tour this facility last week. They truly have state-of-the-art equipment and have an absolutely beautiful design center. People that work there, it truly will be a happy and wonderful environment to work in. I'm in favor of this request, and I truly do encourage my colleagues, if you have some time, take the opportunity to tour this amazing facility. No further questions.
Thank you. Councilman Brightwell?
Yes, a very nice presentation. You indicated some items which surely indicate that you're value added. You, as an individual, used to calculate ROI manually. What was the ROI in this again? You mentioned it, but I didn't hear the number.
I had mentioned ROI in reference to specific installed equipment.
I can give some practical examples if it's helpful. So when we make choices to build something like a data center, for example, when we talk, James has mentioned the use of flywheels instead of batteries in the facility, which they're more environmentally friendly. They're not a fire hazard. Something like installing batteries is a less expensive option. So when we look at making the more expensive choice of buying something like the flywheels, and in this instance, I spent, maybe $500,000 on flywheels instead of, $250,000 on buying batteries to get the job done. So our investment's very long term. This gives us a longer life cycle on the equipment, and eventually there's a savings, from that. Like we bought very green chilling equipment to keep the servers in the data center cool, but the premiums to buy that equipment and to pay for that installation, it's still a longer term payback versus, say, maybe a less expensive installation of doing traditional cooling that you would find in other local data centers, which burn more. They cost more to operate from, more power from DTE, but would be cheaper to install, like from the from the get-go of a new project. So, in terms of saving from building something smarter and greener, like that's not something where we see an immediate savings because we paid so much more to buy these technologies. I expect to see savings like that between 6 and 10 years.
Okay. All right. So, your basic return on investment for this particular investment is what? Was that calculated? Did you?
I don't have a true calculation on that. I mean, the truth of it is we built a very nice company. I have a total of just under 40 employees. And so, obviously we have aspirations to continue to grow that. I consider myself an employee just like the rest of everybody else here. And, in terms of, I think we all make a pretty fair living here, but really for me, this is my life's work. So, in terms of a return at, my hope is that in 15 or 20 years I can retire because that's the goal here. But I think we're building something really fabulous. And then just to make a point of clarification for everybody, I think one of the things that I'm most proud of, James mentioned us competing against big cloud providers like Microsoft, Google, and Amazon. It's a little known fact, but the marketplace of companies that have actually build, own, operate, and sell cloud services, there's very few companies in North America. And as far as we are aware, we are the only provider in the Midwest that's actually building and deploying this kind of infrastructure. So most of the other hosting companies and service providers are just resellers of other of those biggest companies that I mentioned. So I think it's really a great tool for the area. And my hope is that with connectivity to us from other local businesses and businesses throughout Michigan, that we're going to be a great tool for Michigan's biggest 50 and 100 companies, or really all of the businesses here, where they can cost effectively scale their business and launch on a Michigan owned and operated business and be in the cloud for computing and storage and all of the things that they need for the digital economy.
Okay. Well, I'm 100% for your project here, and you're definitely a value add for the city of Southfield, and I look forward to you getting up and running and everything running smoothly. And clearly, you guys have some pretty good incentives. So, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Cruz?
I think my colleagues have already asked the questions I needed to hear, so I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Frazier? Are you on mute? Okay, we'll have to come back to Councilman Frazier. I can't hear him. Okay, is there any other comments for the establishment of the Industrial Development District?
Yes. One question, and that is, on the one slide, you had the cloud service that you're building. Is that for storage of whatever the companies that you are working with for their protected information, or is that for their hard copy of stuff they have to keep for storage?
So the use of cloud storage can really be for anything. They can create private, secure cloud storage spaces, or they could host things that they have on their public website in the cloud. So really, when we're talking about cloud, we're talking about two things. One is just the storage of data and information. And obviously, inside of a well-designed data center that has protections for power, security, cooling, that's the best place for any business to store their data rather than in an office closet with a server. But the other component that when we talk about cloud that we're also building here is cloud computing. So that's like the CPU, the horsepower that kind of does all of these operations, that can process video, can access databases. So we'll be offering both kinds of services, and they're available for customers of any type to use in what we call our public cloud, or we can build private clouds even for Michigan companies if that's what they desire.
Okay, then do you anticipate that the business world will be transitioning from hard copy storage to cloud storage and not have hard copy storage?
I think that movement's pretty well underway. I think in our view, we'd like to compete and bring some of that business that's already done that out of Amazon, out of Microsoft, and out of Google's cloud service, and back here to a Michigan company. But we also we have highly technical employees that specialize in creating and assisting customers with developing solutions. So if somebody hasn't already made that transition or is looking to make that transition, our staff are able to make recommendations and help guide those customers into the appropriate solutions.
Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Great, thank you. Council, may I have a motion, please? This is to establish the Industrial Development District under the Public Act 198 of 1974 as amended.
Councilwoman Banks,
Yes.
the request from Diversified Management Plus doing business as Melrose 10 LLC to establish an industrial development district under Public Act 198 of 1974 as amended at 21671 Melrose Avenue be approved.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilwoman Banks, supported by Councilman Frazier for the approval to establish an industrial development district under Public Act 198 of 1974 as amended. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Haskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
Brightwell,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
and Frazier.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. We would now we're requesting to open a public hearing for the application of Easy Online Solutions LTD for personal property tax exemption under Public Act 328 of 1998 as amended at the newly established district of 21671 Melrose Avenue, Southfield, Michigan. Thank you.
This is a public hearing. I now declare the public hearing open for the personal property tax exemption under Public Act 328 of 1998 for Easy Online Solutions, LTD. If there's anyone on the line that would like to speak to this topic, please push *3 so to be recognized by the clerk.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi. Are we on the next public hearing?
Yes.
Okay. I did hear the presenter and what he said. This is Pamela Gerald, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 48037-0155. Again, my telephone number is 248-346-0439. Okay, so we established the district, and I think that the city has heard me say that we should just designate certain districts in the city as what we established tonight specifically for this company because it would negate this process. So the question that I wanted to ask now, since they're asking for personal property exemption, is if you've been established, Mr. Mitchell, in the city of Southfield since 1998. What is your corporate commitment, or what has your corporate commitment been to the city of Southfield? What city events have you supported? What is the community benefits? That's what I would like to know. And if your corporate commitment has been you living here and supporting the residents that will pick up paying the taxes during the time that your personal property taxes are abated, I would just like to know. I thought that we had done away with this and we were no longer doing PA 328. I guess I'm just not really clear with these Zoom meetings or what do you call it, Cisco meetings? I'm not sure, but I just really am interested in what has your corporate relationship been with supporting events in Southfield, the city that you love, that you've had your business in since 1998, and you want to bring it back in finger quotes, so to speak. I just want you to answer, if you're able to, what is the community benefit for the residents? And thank you. And if that's a good answer, then I support your personal property exemption. If not, then I guess you'd have to think about that on your own. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else on the call that would like to have a comment on this public hearing?
Madam President, at this time, there is no one else.
Hearing and seeing no one else, I will now declare the public hearing closed. Ms. Freeman, did you have any closing remarks before I go to council or no?
I did. Thank you. I do just want to remind City Council that Online Easy Solutions is new to the city of Southfield. They are, again, relocating their headquarters from Bingham Farms and looking to establish the new facility at 21671 Melrose Avenue. They were really moved by some of the council statements at the August 9th meeting and added some special incentives to attract new people to reside in the city of Southfield. And we are just thrilled to have them in the city. They're going to be hiring over 40 people. And again, as Councilwoman Banks noted, their new facility is absolutely incredible. They have a lot of passion and they're really motivated to work with their school, with their students and with the community to bring this wonderful benefit to the city. Again, they are looking for a 10-year abatement to tie with their lease. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Councilman Mandelbaum.
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Banks.
No questions. Thank you.
Councilman Brightwell.
No questions or comment.
Councilman Cruz.
No comments as well. Thank you.
Councilman Frazier. I think you're on mute again. Okay, Councilman Hoskins.
No. No questions for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
No questions.
Thank you. Council, I'd like to entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, Councilman Brightwell, I move that we approve item E, the Economic Development Initiative for Easy Home Solutions for Personal Property Tax Exemption under PA 328 as amended.
Support, Councilwoman Banks.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councilman Brightwell, supported by Councilwoman Banks, for the approval of the Economic Development Initiative application from Easy Online Solutions LTD for personal property tax exemption under Public Act 328 of 1998 as amended for 10-year abatement. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mandelbaum?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
Brightwell,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Frazier, and Hoskins.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, our next public hearing is PZTA 21-0004A. This is the council-initiated zoning ordinance text amendment to amend the Title V zoning and planning, Chapter 45, zoning of the Code of City of Southfield by amending various articles and sections.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Planner Crode. Could we go to the next slide, please? So as we discussed at the study session, there have been recent retail and restaurant trends over the last few years, moving more towards online shopping. Then we have some new normal with COVID-19 and how retail and restaurants are operating. We discovered these new phrases through our review of the Northland Mall Overlay Development District, as well as many planning conferences during this last year. And we want to make sure that our ordinance in the city is prepared for these shifts in the lexicon of zoning. So we are proposing to update our zoning ordinance to define dark stores, data processing and computer centers, last mile delivery, logistics centers, and virtual restaurants. Next slide. So what does this look like? We have a number of big box retail developments throughout the city that have closed their shop, and many of the brokers, property owners, and businesses are backfilling these large storefronts with dark store operations, meaning there are no public interaction. These are delivery only services or processing and transportation that are embedded into our retail development and our neighborhood business corridors. Dark store is a retail outlet facility related to online shopping only. The facility provides fulfillment from its on-premises stock for online orders, coordinates delivery of orders, and is not accessible to the general public. We feel that these types of businesses should be located in our light and industrial districts and not in our neighborhood shopping centers that are devoid of pedestrians. Next slide. And these last mile delivery centers may be smaller than the large distribution centers, but they can be up to 500,000 square feet. And again, this is just a photo example to show you the scale of these type of developments. And we again believe that these are better located in our light and in industrial districts and not in our neighborhood shopping centers. Next slide. We also want to provide an illustration on parallel parking detail. We have had in practice architectural standards for durable materials. We want to embed that into our zoning ordinance. We are updating our B3 drive-through requirements for special land use, as previously stated, by specifically allowing dark stores, ghost restaurants, data processing, computer centers, and other similar types of uses in our light and industrial districts. We can therefore keep them out of our neighborhood business and retail districts. We're also updating light industrial to allow for general office and medical office as a permitted use, as opposed to a special land use of a non-manufacturing type. We talked about auto rental being permitted in industrial district as a special land use on Telegraph. And then again, finally, logistics centers would be permitted as a special land use in I-1 industrial on 8 Mile only. Next slide. You have previously seen a concept proposal from Enterprise Rent-A-Car that would like to locate at the corner of Garner and Telegraph Road. They currently would not be permitted without this text amendment moving forward. And if the council does approve this, you will see this in a couple months through the site plan review process. Next slide. Here's another vacant parcel. It's been limited in its development on Southfield Road in Woodhaven because of certain 500-foot setback requirements for drive-through businesses. Again, we believe that regulation was put in place decades ago when drive-throughs were just coming into vogue as far as the speaker boxes and noise and operation, which have all seen tremendous improvements with technology today. So again, these, if you can go to the next slide, the majority of these text amendments are dealing with new trends in planning and zoning and providing some opportunity for development of some vacant and underutilized sites within Southfield. With that, Madam Chair, you can open the public hearing. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the council may have afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. I'll now declare the public hearing open for PZTA 21-0004, the zoning ordinance text amendment. Madam Clerk, is there anyone on the line that would like to speak to this topic?
Hello.
Yes, hi.
Hi. This is Pamela Gerald. I just wanted to know if we could just do a little bit better on the audio. I'm having such a difficult time today just trying to hear. And, you know, it's the trying to get on the city site and just access everything. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but normally we don't have this problem, and I'm having this problem today. A lot of you can't even hear you, and it's so muffled, and I'm really struggling to try to hear. The only thing I have to say is we can do better. This is a professional meeting, and you have to act as if you are in the chamber, which means you have to be available to respond when you're called on by the council president. I just want to say that I approve the text amendment. That's all. I'm in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anyone else on the call that would like to speak to this topic?
Madam President, at this time, there is no one else on the call that has indicated they would like to speak for this public hearing.
Thank you very much. Council, I will now go to you and for any questions or comments. Councilwoman Banks?
I have no questions or comments. Thank you.
Councilman Brightwell?
No questions or comments. Thank you.
Councilman Cruz?
No questions. Thank you.
Councilman Frazier?
No questions.
Thank you. Councilman Hoskins?
No questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Mandelbaum?
No questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Terry, did you want to say anything else before I ask for the vote?
Nope. I just think this brings us more in line with the types of businesses that we're dealing with. Thank you.
Council, may I have a motion?
This is Councilman Mandelbaum.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to move PZT. PZTA 21-0004 zoning text amendments.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Mandelbaum, supported by Councilwoman Banks, to approve the language text amendment to PZTA 21-0004A. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Taylor?
Yes.
Banks?
Yes.
Brightwell?
Yes.
Cruz?
Yes.
Frazier, Hoskins,
Yes.
and Mandelbaum.
Yes.
And Madam President, just for point of information, I just wanted to wish our planner, Terry Crow, it's his 35th wedding anniversary tonight, and he's on a call with us. So happy 35 years of marriage.
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, sir.
Congratulations.
And coincidentally, this is my 11th year anniversary with Southfield. I'm very proud to have been here this long and continue to work on improving the city for everyone. Thank you.
Thank
Double
you.
congratulations.
Double congratulations. I like that.
Thank you, Terry.
Madam Chair, if I just may add that also congratulations, but I really applaud our planner as what you've just approved is another example of the proactive work that he does to protect our city. Much appreciated, Terry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Still have
Yes.
the introduction
Yes.
of the ordinance number 1743. But thank you,
Support.
everyone.
Yeah, I was gonna make a motion to, while we were congratulating Terry, but I'd like to make a motion, we introduce ordinance number 1743.
Support. Councilman Cruz.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councilman Mandelbaum, supported by Councilman Cruz for the introduction of ordinance number 1743. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Banks,
Yes.
Brightwell,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Frazier, Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
and Taylor.
Yes. Thank you all. Now we're going to our
Thank you.
agenda items for discussion and action. Our first item is the purchase of service and maintenance agreement for the years 6 through 10 for the Hart election equipment.
Madam President, to the honorable body, in 2017, the Oakland County Clerk chose Hart InterCivic election equipment as the county's official vendor. During that time, the county and the city of Southfield purchased equipment that included a 5-year service and maintenance agreement. Currently, that service contract is set to end on August 31st of 2022. Hart InterCivic is a sole source vendor approved by the state of Michigan, and we are looking for a renewal of the service and maintenance fee for years 6 through 10. Currently, Hart is offering a 10% discount off the total if paid before August 31st of this year. That will be a total savings to the city of $29,861.47. I have spoke with our fiscal director, Mr. Michaels, and he indicated the best way to move forward with this will be to use our equipment revolving fund, office equipment, which the number is included, which would have an annual recovery charge that the clerk's office will be paying back of $53,750.64. This is something that is required. This extended warranty is required and is necessary to preserve and to keep the equipment up to date and to adhere with the state regulations that we are abided by. And I would entertain any questions at this moment.
Okay, thank you so much. Council, I'll start with you, Mr. Brightwell. Are there any questions or comments?
Yes, I did have a question. And I think Ms. Hawkins answered it, though. You're paying back the city, that $53,000, that's the cost recovery amount?
Yes, Councilman Brightwell, that's the yearly cost recovery amount.
Okay, and that eventually will, okay, thanks. That was my question.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Cruz?
Sounds clear to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Frazier?
No questions.
Thank you. Councilman Hoskins?
No question for me on this. Thank you.
Councilman Mandelbaum?
No questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilwoman Banks?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Council,
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion
Yes.
to approve the purchase and service of maintenance agreement for years 6 to 10 for the Hart election equipment.
Support.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councilman Mandelbaum, supported by Councilwoman Banks, to approve the purchase of the service and maintenance agreement for years 6 through 10 for the Hart election equipment. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Brightwell,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Frazier,
Yes.
Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes,
and Banks.
Yes.
Thank you, Council.
thank you. Our next item is the authorization for contract for the detention facility operations.
Thank you, Madam President, also members of the council, community, and department heads. With me, and I am Chief Elvin Barron, with me is Lieutenant Shane Russell, as we have a couple items on the agenda tonight. So yes, we are seeking authorization for contract services for the detention facility operations. A little bit of background: on July 20th, the purchasing department received two proposals for the operation of the jail. And just as a reminder, under this agreement, the contractor is responsible for the booking process, lodging, court operations of individuals that are arrested by not only Southfield police officers, but also surrounding agencies. Of the two proposals, only one met the minimum requirements needed, and that was GS4, who is the current contractor servicing our jail. The city of Southfield currently does contract with them for a number of years. The company has provided correction officers that have successfully completed the American Correctional Association training program and the certification process as they perform their work in a professional manner. We mentioned before how satisfied we are with their service. They have a very low turnover rate because their employees seem to be satisfied with their management, and thereby we don't have issues such as individuals not reporting to work and not having the minimal staffing needed to run the operation. In addition to that, because we're always looking at what does the training look like for these type of operations, and we are satisfied with GS4. In fact, on April 5th of this year, GS4 became a part of an Allied Universal Group. And on October 8th of this year, they will be officially integrated into the Allied Universal Organization. So this is a national recognition to ensure that the jailers in compliance with national best practices in the business of housing inmates. And so at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Lieutenant Shane Russell for a financial impact, and then I'll close out this portion with recommendations.
Yes, regarding fiscal impact, the contract pricing includes hourly rates for correctional personnel. That also includes a rate for meals and blankets, things of that nature. Based on hourly rates, and expenditures are expected to average $78,300 per month, which annually would equal out to roughly $940,000 for the first year of the contract if it is approved. And specifically regarding this contract, there will be increases of 3% for years 2, and also 3% for year 3 of the agreement. Once again, if it is ultimately approved.
Yes, and so as we close, we are again asking for council to authorize this. The facility is for a 3-year contract term, which will expire August 31st of 2024. The expenditures are estimated to total $940,000 annually, and the funds have been provided in the 2021 fiscal year budget under the contractual professional account. So this was projected in our budget cycle, and that concludes our comments.
Thank you. I'll go to council now, and I'll start with you, Councilman Cruz.
Yes, very thankful for the presentation, and I have no necessarily questions about it. I think it sounds good, and I'm in support.
Thank you. Councilman Frazier?
I have a few questions. One is, do the the people that have been arrested, do they get 2 or 3 meals a day?
So depending on how long they're in our facility, as you know, some people are eligible to bond out and they are released immediately. Those who are housed for a period of time, they will get an initial meal. And then after 6 hours or so, if they're still in our facility, they will be given an additional meal. So it just depends how long they are in our custody before they're turned over to the county.
Okay, so the longest period would get 2 meals and you'd use your head
Correct,
for
yeah.
anybody less than that.
Right, and remember that our jail is temporary uh, as they await to be either given a court date or to be seen in front of a judge. And then after they're seen by a judge, they're either released on bond, personal bond, or either turned over to Wayne County for further housing. But to answer your question, yes, we do ensure that they're getting meals, regular scheduled meals, provided they're in our care and custody.
Okay. Second question I have is, with COVID being rampant as it is, what is the procedure for sterilizing a cell when one person leaves, ready for the second person?
Yeah, another great question. Uh, when the COVID hit us initially, we moved towards cleanliness, not only in the jails, but also the police vehicles and our facility. So the cells are cleaned regularly. When an individual is taken out of that cell and either released or turned over to the county, the jail personnel do go in and sanitize that particular cell. So this does occur often throughout the shifts, and it's a regular ongoing cleaning and inspection by the supervisors, not only in the jail, but also Southfield supervisors as well, to ensure that this sanitation is occurring.
Okay, now is that part of this contract?
Yes, cleanliness is part of the contract as relates to the expectations of the jail while prisoners are in their custody. So yes.
Okay, and also, I presume laundering of the blankets.
Correct. Yes. Cleanliness of the blankets, washing, or destroying them if they're not to be used. But all of that is factored into the cost.
Okay, that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Hoskins?
No questions for me on this. Thank you.
Mhm. Councilman Mandelbaum?
No questions for me.
Okay, we'll come back. Councilwoman Banks?
No questions. Thank you.
Councilman Brightwell?
Yes, I approve of this. But in reading through the write-up, the G4S is changing ownership. As of October 8th, it becomes Allied Universal. And then Allied Universal seemingly becomes associated with somebody else, Universal Protection Service LLC. So who is when we sign this contract, who will we be dealing with in the year 2, year 3, year 4? It's not really clear in this write-up. Is it?
Yes. So it's a little difficult to hear you, but we will be dealing with ultimately with Allied Universal.
Okay. All right. Well, fine. That's what I was trying to clear up. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'll go back to Councilman Mandelbaum.
Yes, I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Council, may I entertain a motion?
This is Councilman Brightwell. I make a motion that we approve item B, the authorization of the contract for detention facility operations.
Support.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councilman Brightwell, supported by Councilwoman Banks, for the approval of the authorization for contract for detention facility operations for a 3-year term. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Banks,
Yes.
Brightwell,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Frazier, Frazier, Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Frazier, one last time.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Council and listening audience, I'm going to go a little out of order. Item D also belongs to the police department, and since they're similar or in the same department, I'd like to take them one right behind the other. So we're going to move item D up to where C is and just handle that one next.
Yes,
So-
once again, my name is Lieutenant Shane Russell with the Southfield Police Department. This request specifically is for our Southfield Police Special Entry and Response Team. We are seeking authorization to purchase 10 Accuracy International weapon systems. Each system consists of a .308 Winchester rifle and all the accessories that come with it. In addition to the rifle and accessories, the purchase price also includes training for key department personnel on how to fix the weapons if future repairs are needed. Currently, our team uses 3 different weapon systems, which they're all over a decade old, range from 11 years in age to 15. Members of the department who were trained on repairing these weapons, they are now retired. So the company, including training on how to repair the weapons, is also a big benefit for us. And also another big benefit is getting on one weapon system in case there are issues with the weapons and we need to switch users. In regards to fiscal impact, the total price for the 10 weapon systems is roughly $94,719.50, which is roughly $9,500 per unit. Funding will be provided through a budget adjustment, but ultimately out of the federal forfeiture.
In addition to that, because I do know a question comes up, what is the balance of the forfeiture account? And so as of today's date, the current balance is $559,894.05. And so certainly the money is there, and we are respectfully requesting authorization of this purchase. And that concludes our report.
Okay, thank you. Council, I'll start with you, Councilman Hoskins.
No questions for me on this one either. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Mandelbaum.
Nothing for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Banks.
No questions. Thank you.
Councilman Brightwell.
Chief, I'm not sure you might or will be familiar with this, but did we get any trade-in value on the weapons that are being replaced?
So at this time, we don't have that value yet. Once we get this purchase authorized and those weapons are in our possession, at that time, we will begin to transition into a vendor who will give us a fair market value for that purchase. And at that time, we will involve the purchasing department in that transition. But we didn't want to get away from these weapons that we currently have until we had the complete turnover to include the training. But yes, we will have that at a later date.
Okay, all right, good answer. Thanks, Chief. Thank you.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Councilman Cruz.
No questions, Chief, and all your staff, what you done and are doing, I should say. And so I'm good. Thank you.
Councilman Frazier.
Yeah, I know ammunition is pretty hard to come by nowadays. is ammunition in this contract? I don't remember seeing it in there.
No, it is not in the contract. However, one fortunate thing is we will be able to get the ammunition and our counter snipers, which is specifically who this weapon systems, who will be for. They do not use much ammunition at all when it comes to training purposes. So that works in our favor.
So
Okay.
as a quick translation to that, with this system, with the training and the scheduled training, we won't be using a whole lot of ammunition for this by the way the weapon systems are designed, if that makes sense. Where our other weapons, it takes a series of different cycles to ensure accuracy. Well, this will provide more accuracy, which therefore in turn less training rounds, if that makes sense.
Okay. All right. I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, I'd like to entertain a motion.
Woman Banks.
Yes.
I move to authorize the purchase or to purchase a new weapon system for the Southfield Police Special Entry and Response Team.
Support Councilman Cruz.
It's been moved by Councilwoman Banks, supported by Councilman Cruz, to approve the authorization to purchase a new weapon system for the Southfield Police Special Entry and Response Team. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Brightwell,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Frazier,
Yes.
Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
and Banks.
Yes.
And thank you. We'll go back now to item C. And the item is approval of the interagency agreement with the Alliance of Rouge Communities for a U.S. Forestry Service Great Lakes Restoration Initiative grant.
Good evening. This is Brandy Solacek, Stormwater Manager for the City of Southfield. Thank you, Council President Taylor and Council. This item is an interagency agreement with the Alliance of Rouge Communities, which we are a member of. They received a Great Lakes Restoration Initiative grant through the Forestry Service for implementing green infrastructure throughout the watershed, and which includes trees and rain gardens and bioswales. And Southfield is with this grant will receive 100 trees to plant within the city, and 2 to 3 locations for green infrastructure. So we are asking that the council approve this agreement with the Alliance of Rouge Communities to accept this grant. The green infrastructure locations would be at Beechwoods, by the tennis courts. We did have some bioswales there, but they had since been mowed over. So we're going to replant those areas and then also install a new area adjacent to the Park Services building back behind next to the baseball diamond over there. Be a new bioswale there. And then also, if we have funds left over, we would install rain gardens at the Mary Thompson Farm. So the total grant amount that the city would receive is $38,400 in funding for the 100 trees and for those green infrastructure locations. And I can take any questions if anybody has any.
Okay, thank you, Brandy. We'll start with you, Councilman Mandelbaum. Any questions or comments?
No questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Banks?
Questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Brightwell?
Randy, I like this idea. Obviously, I'll approve of this, but 100 trees, and this is just an ecology kind of question. what would be the ideal number of trees you would like to have at one point in time?
Well, the original reason for this grant through the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative is to reduce like stormwater runoff from, impervious surfaces, which we have a lot in Southfield. So ideally, it'd be great to have street trees along every, street. They started this funding a few years back because of the emerald ash borer disease, and so there was a lot of loss of trees. Um, but obviously, the more trees, the better. And Southfield does a really great job of doing street trees and replanting trees with any sort of project. I don't have a specific number for tree planting, but I think this is our third or fourth grant that we've gotten through this grant money, and we've over the years have probably planted over 500 plus trees with this funding. We could always use more, but I think we're doing a good job at implementing these and planting these trees when we can.
Yeah, well, good. I mean, I definitely appreciate trees, and it's nothing wrong with the city having a lot of trees, but that was just one of my little pet interests, which is from a landscaping standpoint, trees and or water wetlands. So thank you. That's it. That's a thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilman Cruz?
I'm okay with everything. It sounds good. Questions are been answered, so no problem with supporting. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Frazier?
What kind of trees are they and how large?
So typically the grant requires that we plant native trees, which I don't have the list in front of me, but I've been working with Leo Clower out of DPW for the type of trees that are best, to be planted within the right of way. The caliper trees, I think, are 2 inches plus. So they're a little bit on the larger side than what some of the smaller trees are, but anything above that, that caliper can be included in the grant.
Okay, that's good because when you get those little trees that look like miniature trees, anybody can step on them or something, and hurt them. So
Exactly.
I'm glad that they're larger. So
Yep, that's what the requirement of the grant is, and they seem to, they survive better.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Hoskins?
There we go. No questions for me on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, would you can we entertain a motion?
Madam Chair?
Before the all right.
Oh, go ahead, Mr.
Before
Mayor.
the motion, this is the mayor. Just a suggestion. I'm not sure, Brandy, where you were planting the rain garden in Mary Thompson, but a lot of water tends to gather at the very south end near Evergreen Road.
Yes, so I'm sorry to interrupt, Mayor. That's exactly the location. We were trying to look at the south side of the property where there's tends to be standing water. We were out there with the parks facilities looking at that location. So that would be the area that we would be looking at to plant.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Mayor. Council?
This is Councilman Mandelbaum.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item C, approval of the interagency agreement with the Alliance of Rouge for U.S. Forestry Grant.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Mandelbaum, supported by Councilman Frazier for the approval of the interagency agreement with the Alliance of Rouge Communities for the U.S. Forestry Service Great Lakes Restoration Initiative Grant. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Cruz? Frazier?
Yes.
Hoskins?
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
and Brightwell.
Yes.
Thank you. Our next item for discussion and/or action is the authorization to expand the annual concrete and asphalt maintenance contracts.
Thank you, Madam President. This evening, we're asking council to authorize an increase with two of our vendors previously vetted through our purchasing department. The first, JB Contracting, to increase the original contract amount from $332,125 to a new contract amount of $982,000, and Allied Construction from $426,330 to a new amount of $1,300,000. This item is in 2019, council awarded contract to both JB for annual spot concrete maintenance and annual asphalt maintenance. We sat down and took a look at various projects and realized we did not have purchase order authorization contract amounts that exceeded our what has been budgeted by this council for this fiscal year. In order for us to undertake contract or concrete spot replacement and some asphalt work, we needed to increase the contract amount for these vendors. Again, this simply aligns us with what has been budgeted by council for this fiscal year. Contracts with both JB Contractors and Allied Construction expire June 30th of 2022.
Okay.
That is our request this evening, Madam President.
Okay, thank you. I will open up to council, and I'll start with you, Madam Banks.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Councilman Cruz.
No questions. Thank you.
Councilman Brightwell.
Mrs. Zone, could you explain again why those were, what drove this at this point in time? Those are substantial numbers based on what was previously booked.
At the time the original contracts were approved, those were approximate budgets. As this year's budget was put together starting in January, and additional items, for example, council took an action in April authorizing expenditures from the motor pool account that will require some spot concrete. And then again, in the adoption of this year's budget, there was 600,000 for motor pool from the Metro Fund, allowing for path expansions. That it just wasn't, as the items were bid, we had contract amounts approved. We've obviously have budgeted more money to take on these projects. We have excellent unit prices. This morning, there was a dialogue with JB Contractors. They feel they can honor those prices, and we should be able to get that some additional work done, this season.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Frazier.
Questions?
Councilman Hoskins.
No questions for me.
Thank you. Councilman Mandelbaum.
Just one question. Mr. Zorn, is this, will this also help with some of those spot concrete issues that were raised a couple weeks ago during one of our meetings?
That is the objective. There have been multiple spot locations that we're going to do our best to get to this season.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor.
No, I'm very supportive of this. I provided the administration with the feedback from residents that in areas where sections of the street are down to gravel. Matter of fact, just today I heard from another resident. And typically, Public Works just puts blacktop in these places, and as you know, that doesn't always last. And it's not the most attractive thing as we work on curb appeal throughout the city. So I'm very pleased to see this and appreciate the council's support.
Thank you. Council, may I entertain a motion?
Madam Chair, this is Councilman Brightwell.
Yes.
I move that we approve item E, the authorization to expand the annual concrete and asphalt maintenance contracts.
Support.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councilman Brightwell, supported by Councilwoman Banks, to approve the authorization to expand the annual contract and asphalt maintenance contracts. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Frazier, Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
and Brightwell.
Yes.
Thank you. Our next item is the proposed sale of real property, Edgemont parcel 76-24-30-126-032.
Thank you, Council President John Macrina. Parcel 032 is located on Edgemont, south of 10 Mile, as pictured in the aerial view. We have a Southfield resident, Maximilian Newser, who would like to purchase that to build his home on. He lives in Southfield, wants to stay in Southfield, but would like a larger home. He has offered $15,000 for the parcel. The city assessor has agreed that's a fair price for the parcel, considering that a home will be built. This does include the requirement that the home be built within 18 months and the added requirement that the home be used for owner occupancy. The only thing I would request a slight variation from the proposed resolution is that that requirement be for 5 years, because after 5 years, it gets difficult for anyone to predict where their life is going for sure. I think if he's owner occupied for 5 years, we've got a pretty good commitment there.
Okay. Council, I will open up to you for comments and discussion. I'll start with you, Councilman Brightwell.
John, did we recoup all our costs to put into this location?
I'm sorry?
Did we recoup all our costs, the city costs that we invested?
Well, I understand. The main cost in relation to this parcel was the demolition of the property, which the city was never reimbursed for when it was foreclosed. So we did lose $12,029 there. Now, there may have been some blight work that was done and charged to the taxes that we never recouped. Taxes we never recouped because it was foreclosed on and not sold for profit. We received it with no cost. So there was money lost. I don't know, we'd have to compute $12,000 as it relates to today's dollars. Maybe we're breaking even there. The other costs may be de minimis. Partially, it's lost revenue as far as taxes, so it's not actually a cost, even though we would be reimbursing the county, the taxing governmental agency at the time of the foreclosure. But I think for the most part, as far as the big one, which is the one everyone worries about, is what it costs us to demolish the home, we are made whole on that.
Okay, no problem. And plus, we will be receiving taxes in the future, which is a good thing. Thanks,
Yes, sir.
John.
A little over $3,000 a year in city taxes. In addition to that, the school district hopefully, has new students. We have a new water customer. We have a lot that we were maintaining. We're no longer having to maintain. We're no longer liable for what happens on that lot. So there are a lot of pluses here.
Yeah, it's a plus. Thanks, John. Thank you.
Thank you. And anyone that's not speaking, could you please mute your lines? We are having some difficulty hearing. Thank you. Councilman Cruz?
I think Councilman Brightwell covered everything I wanted to know. So I think this is a good idea. So I support it.
Thank you. Councilman Frazier?
No questions.
Thank you. Councilman Hoskins?
No questions for me. Thank you.
Councilman Mandelbaum?
No questions for me. Thank you.
And Councilwoman Banks?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Council, I'll entertain a motion.
Council President, I'm sorry if I could interrupt. Will that be with the 5-year restriction on owner occupancy?
Well, if they make the motion, that's why I'm asking for the motion. When we make the motion, are we going to include the 5-year owner occupancy change?
Yes, Madam President, I'll move that we support the suggested proposed sale of real estate for Edgemont parcel 7624301260. Oh, sorry, 032 with the amended statement made by our deputy administrator.
Support.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councilman Cruz, supported by Councilman Frazier, to approve the proposed sale of the real property on Edgemont parcel 762430126032 at a cost of $15,000 with the amended verbiage to state that the owner occupancy for 5 years. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
Brightwell,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
and Frazier.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have a very similar project, proposed sale of real property on Birch Ridge. This parcel is 762435129011.
Thank you, Council President. The city has owned this parcel since 2012. Again, there was a demolition cost of $8,740. This parcel was listed for sale on our website. Another Southfield resident happened to find it there. Same situation. He wants a bigger home, but he wants to stay in Southfield. He offered to purchase the parcel for the listed price of $10,000. The only, and he understands he needs to build within 18 months. I spoke to him today. He is fine with the owner occupancy. We would just request that the owner occupancy requirement be amended to 5 years to make it more reasonable, a period of time that he can realistically see into the future.
Thank you. Council, I'll go around once again. We'll start with you, Councilman Cruz.
Yes, I have no problem with this. Thank you.
Councilman Frazier.
No problem.
Thank you. Councilman Hoskins.
No questions for me. Thank you.
Councilman Mandelbaum.
No questions for me.
Councilwoman Banks.
No questions, thank you.
And Councilman Brightwell.
No questions.
Thank you. Council, may I have a motion?
This is Councilman Brightwell. I make a motion to approve item G, the proposed sale of real property on Birch Ridge.
Support.
With the, do you want to do the amendment of the 5-year owner occupancy?
Yes, with the amendment as presented.
I'll support as well.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councilman Brightwell, supported by Councilman Cruz, for the approval of the proposed sale of real property on Birch Ridge parcel 762435129011 in the amount of $10,000 with the amendment of owner occupancy for 5 years. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
Brightwell,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Frazier, and Hoskins.
Yes.
Thank you. Our next item is the water leak relief.
Madam Chair, if I may interject here,
Yes, please.
I would just like to point out that both of these properties, the former owners walked away from them, did not pay the taxes, and then subsequently were foreclosed by the county treasurer. These properties were then put on the tax foreclosure auction. Both of them were placed on the tax foreclosure auction twice without anyone bidding on them. And having attended the tax foreclosure auctions, typically flippers or rental companies that have done prior to 2016 buying up a lot of foreclosed properties wouldn't buy these lots because they have the burden of the back taxes and the burden of the demolition on them. In the case of the Birchridge property, we've owned it for almost 9 years, 10 years. If I recall correctly, that property also had, the house was demolished and then due to a fire. And then later, the city had to go back and take out a swimming pool. Again, this is what was happening over and over again in Southfield prior to 2016 when the council adopted the practice of first right of refusal. So the city had more control over these parcels. And again, they were not foreclosed by the city, they were foreclosed by the Oakland County treasurer, rather. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, our next item is the Water Leak Relief Program Annual Report.
Thank you, Council President. This is a mandated report from the 2018 resolution that granted relief to water customers suffering a substantial water leak. Fourth complete year of reporting, well, fourth report general. In addition, this report for the first time does include the breakdown by individual parcels. That was a requirement of the report. It just hadn't been included previously. To protect the privacy of property owners, I just listed the account number, but it is available for reference. And if you are curious, the red ones are commercial accounts. As you can see, the number has gone up substantially. I think that's the result of our water staff doing a better job of telling people about this program. To remind everyone, this is a situation where if you suffer a substantial leak, up to 3 billing cycles can be relieved by 1/2 of the excess water used during those periods. You still pay for the normal water usage during those periods. You still pay for half the excess, but we will cut the bill in half. And for a lot of people, I know for some of these people, it made the difference between keeping the home and losing it to the property being, to the water bill rolling over on the taxes. So I do think this is a good program. I know $116,000 is a lot of money, but it is 1/4% of our water bill, and the collecting half the fee for the water does help defray the cost of the water and sewage. It's mostly just our infrastructure costs that we're losing out on. And we could have easily lost out on that, just as the mayor said, when those rolled over onto taxes and were foreclosed, we would have never gotten those back anyway. So all in all, I think this is a good program. I believe this is an accurate report that gives a good synopsis and snapshot of what we're doing. And obviously, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Council, I'll start with you, Councilman Mandelbaum.
No, I think this is a great program, and I'm glad it's helping people. So no questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Banks.
Yes, I have a few questions. Are there any yearly repeat properties on this list?
Well, actually, that is an excellent question. This discount is a one-time deal. So the property owner will only get one. Now, if there are some properties owned by different people, that is possible. I haven't done a check on that though. But they would have to be a legitimate sale. If you own property and you use this once, or your family member, it's in different people's names, that would not count. It's a one-time deal for that.
And then, okay, thank you. And then I noted that there are 34 properties that are over $1,000, some a lot higher. Is there a way to receive an address for those properties?
Yes, because I included the account numbers, all you have to do is mention that to me, shoot me an email, and I will respond with exactly what those properties are. I just wanted to spare embarrassment for people who are in the program. This does bring up a good point, Councilwoman. I would like to mention, I know we're looking at the fixed-based metering to alert people of their leaks sooner. And I just want to temper our expectations in that regard, because virtually all of these customers fail to look at their bill for at least 1, 2, or 3 cycles. That's the only way we get to three bills, is if you don't look at your bills. And they all receive door hangers warning them something's wrong with your water consumption. So I think the customer software to allow them to monitor their water bills is a great idea. But I just want to warn everyone that the same people that monitor their bills closely are going to monitor the software, and probably the same people who don't look at their bills now will not be monitoring their software. So I want to temper the expectations.
Well, thank you. However, it's my understanding that the software, we're at least a year away from approving it, if not longer. And, while I respect what you're saying, I'm looking at some of these, maybe they're the businesses, $7,000. I would love for someone to say to me, you don't have to pay your bills.
Well, if I
and
could point
for
out,
someone to say that they just haven't looked at their bills, I mean, I might, and I'm not talking about the customers on here that were $300-400. Maybe they're really, in need, but I'm sorry, $7,600, and you're not even paying attention to your bills. As a previous business owner, I mean, I would say shame on these people. But I personally, there's no reason for me to shoot you an email. Those properties that are $1,000 and over, I would like to see the address, and you can feel free to supply it to all of council. I'd just like to see where these properties are and who these businesses are.
I understand. I can certainly.
And I'd like to see it before we approve this report. And I have no further questions.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Brightwell.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Cruz.
Yes. I would have to go push back a bit on Councilwoman Banks on this one. This is a good program, and that we have been doing. People have hard times. Businesses have hard times, especially in this time of COVID. And so I think any way we can provide some relief for these individuals is a good thing. So I'm in support. I appreciate the presentation, and I hope that we can continue it to some degree over time, so that people at least get a second chance. And I think that's what we're trying to do as a city is give people a second chance. So it's no different than foreclosures and all that kind of stuff. We give extensions, or the county does everything. Uh, I don't think we should be any different. I think Southfield is a city that looks out for its people, and I'm all about that. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Frazier?
Yes, uh, this is a one-time thing for people that have a major leak that haven't looked at their bill for 3 cycles, which is 6 months. And we're gonna give them benefit for uh, half the leak, I guess is what you're saying. For it's a one-time grace period.
Yes, sir, you have captured the essence exactly. We're not telling anyone they don't have to pay their bill. We're just helping them reduce the part that leaked. You're right.
Supposing you do that, but they don't look at their bill after that, and it continues. How do we deal with that?
Well, sir, that's a great question. This is a one-time offer. This program will not be available to them ever again. This is their one-time opportunity. We do employ some coaching techniques to help them be more cognizant of their bills. A lot of times it's a senior who lives in the home, and we try to get other family members involved as well.
Madam
There are
President,
other family members, and I'm not trying to not say this is a good program or anything else, but I just want to make sure that we don't buy into something that turns out that we can't manage it because we didn't think our way all the way through it. And I lean toward Councilman Cruz that there are people that are having hard times, and some of these people, I don't think that they are scofflaws that just don't want to pay their bill, but if they seriously have a hard time, are we prepared at all to help them find out where the leak is to at least stop that part of it?
Madam President,
Yes.
yeah, I just want to point out because I don't think it's been said yet. Uh, this is a one-time compassionate program. The repair has to be made. The homeowner or the account holder must also sign a statement that they acknowledge that this is a one-time waiver, and it follows a very well put together formula. Um, so the problem has to have been corrected. We asked for evidence that it's been corrected. They, present a receipt that the repair was made, and then they sign a statement that they recognize that this is one time. For those individuals who are having a tougher time, there is the Great Lakes Water Authority program that provides assistance to help again account holders pay their water bills. And Southfield, like all of the other member communities of the Great Lakes Water Authority, pay an annual fee into that fund. And we have a substantial amount of residents taking advantage of that and or utilizing that program, I should clarify. I just want, so this is one time, the repair has to be made. I will tell you this was set up as administrator. I don't have the authority to waive these. And a lot of times these water bills are one of those aggravating situations that where they do go to taxes. And I've got a couple, we've got a couple situations that we'll need to address in the next few months. I am in discussion with our team here about making some amendments to our water ordinance to further address some of these issues. We're hoping that technology in the meter reading helps out, but as my deputy has pointed out, people who are ignoring the notes that my staff, that our team puts on their doors, not once, twice, 3 and 4 times, most likely aren't going to be the people who are monitoring a electronic report telling them that they have abnormal water usage. And again, this is, John, if you could speak to the percentage, it's a fraction of our revenue. And the way the formula works, we're still covering our wholesale cost of water and sewage disposal. We're just not covering our capital debt retirement and our labor cost.
Yes, sir, that is all very accurate. We do send someone out to the home to confirm the leak. They do need to present us proof as well. This is literally, as it says, a one-time compassionate relief for someone who, in a sense, got themselves in over their head with water.
And if I may further point out, I meant to make this point, we're not asking council to approve, we're asking you to simply receive the file, receive and file the report. The ordinance itself approves and provides the mechanism that this happens.
Okay, so I guess to kind of wrap it up, these people are really underwater.
Yeah.
So that's all the questions I have.
Thank you. Councilman Hoskins?
Um, how can I ever follow that up? uh,
You're the only one that got it.
no questions for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we just have to, we don't have to do anything. This is just a report because it's just to receive and file. We don't have to vote on that, do we?
Madam President, there was a motion to approve and file would be great. Thank you. And I will send out the request detailing the email detailing the $1,000 plus club.
Okay. Council, I do need a motion to accept and receive and file the Water Leak Relief Program Annual Report.
Madam President, this is Councilman Cruz, and I will move support of the Water Leak Relief Program Annual Report and have
Support.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councilman Cruz, supported by Councilman Frazier for the approval for the council to receive and file the Water Leak Relief Program Annual Report. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Taylor,
Yes.
Banks,
No.
Brightwell,
Yes.
Cruz,
yes.
Frazier,
Yes.
Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now we come to our communications portion. And I must remind everyone that all speakers please abide by the rules and procedures of the Southfield City Council and refrain from making any personal, disrespectful, slanderous, or profane remarks according to the Rule 7 of Rules of Procedure for the Southfield City Council, that no speaker may make personal or impertinent attacks upon any officer, employee, city council member, or other elected official that is unrelated to the manner in which the officer, employee, or city council member or other elected official performs his or her duties. No person shall use threatening or abusive language when addressing the city council, and any person who violates this section will be directed to stop and to cease and continue in an orderly manner or be silent, or your microphone will be muted. With that, Madam Clerk, would you please open the lines, and anyone that's wishing to speak, please push *3 to be recognized by the clerk.
Good evening.
Good
My
evening.
name is Gerard Mullen, Post Office Box 155, Southfield, Michigan 48037. Madam President, according to Chapter 7 in your latest Southfield City Charter, this city has been under the judicial rule of the Southfield Municipal Court continuously from 1958 up to this very moment. Every Southfield student of government should know that Chapter 7 is a lie because the Southfield Municipal Court was abolished. Yes, abolished by the 1963 Michigan Constitution on January the 1st, 1969, and was replaced by the 46th District Court on said date, 52 years ago. A long, long, long time ago. Words matter. At least they should matter. To say that black is white is a lie. Likewise, for the last 52 years, to call the 46th District Court the Southfield Municipal Court in the Southfield City Charter is also a lie, a big lie. Ask yourself this one question. Should a Southfield teacher be allowed to use the Southfield City Charter as a textbook to teach Southfield civics? That is, to teach the big lie to your child and to your grandchild and to generations yet unborn. After 52 years, it is about time that this City Council delete the big lie from your outdated charter, along with the many other outdated items, by creating a charter commission. If the City of Detroit can mandate periodically a ballot initiative for a proposed charter commission in order to try to update their charter, then the Southfield City Council should be able to do the very same thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker.
One moment. One moment. One moment, please.
Okay.
Trying to get this. Hello?
Yes, we're here.
Okay, thank you. Pamela Gerald, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 48037-0155. Residents, my number is still 248-346-0439. And thank you every time you call me, every time you want to know my take or spin on something. I'm honored and humble that you trust me still after almost 40 years. You know, I keep getting calls about whether or not voters are being suppressed in the city of Southfield. And again, I want to say to you, we do not have a voter suppression issue in the city of Southfield. What generally happens is a lot of people, when they move from an apartment to a house or vice versa, a lot of times they take for granted that they vote in the same location, and that's not always the case. So that we won't have a problem with this election, I'm asking people to just make sure you know the place in which you're supposed to vote. We don't have a machine here that's trying to stop anybody from voting in our city. We have never had a voter suppression problem in the city of Southfield. And I wish that people would stop using that as a means to campaign and disparage someone's character. That's the first thing I wanted to bring up. The second thing, the city of Southfield does not foreclose on homes. You have a certain amount of time to pay your taxes. After that time expires, the city can no longer take your payments and your taxes go out to Oakland County. Oakland County gives you a certain amount of time to pay your taxes, and you have to make arrangements. And any foreclosure decisions, that's made by the county. So again, I'm asking my fellow Southfielders, if you trust me, and you have for all these years, to not be duped and bamboozled by what you're hearing people fabricate about just to run a campaign. You know what you know, and we have some of the best educated voters in Oakland County, right in the city of Southfield. Do the right thing, and when in doubt, you check it out and you ask. And my number is always open for you to call me for that clarity if you don't have it. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Our next caller.
Madam President, at the current time, no one else has indicated they would like to speak during the communication portion.
Okay, thank you. Then our public communications is now ending, and we'll go to council. And I'll start with you, Councilwoman Banks.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I just again would like to remind everyone as we're entering the Labor Day weekend and summer's winding down to please continue to wear your mask. If you are indoors, and to all the children going back to school, please be careful. And also, I hope that you wear your mask, and just everyone, please be safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Brightwell?
Yes, I have another veteran item. And I know quite a few individuals might not be veterans who hear my voice, but please pass the messages on. As always, whenever you see something, hear something, just pass it on to a veteran or a friend of a veteran or a family member. For veterans, there's free help at home for veterans from the Elizabeth Dole Foundation. For veterans who have a spouse, family member, a friend, or who helps provide them with care and support at home and can use some extra time, the Elizabeth Dole Foundation Respite Relief Program provides free caregiving support. That is free caregiving support through the Respite Relief Program. A caregiver can receive 35 hours of free respite care services. Those respite care services are housekeeping, meal preparation, transportation, companionship, bathing, exercising, mobility, and a couple other items. But pretty much you have to apply for this, and the caregiver should submit an application to the hiddenheroes.org respite. That's hiddenheroes.org respite, RESPITE. You submit your application, and within 7 days, you will hear back from this particular organization, letting you know whether or not you're eligible, and also you have been awarded your caregiver and or family member, whoever's caring for the veteran. You can get up to 35 hours of free respite care. And if you have, I know going through this virtual process of attending meetings, some things might get dropped. But if you can reach me at the city clerk's office, 1-248-796-5150, and I can obviously scan in or fax you the information, and you can pull it off the sheet. But that is free respite care for caregivers who are caring for veterans. Thank you very much. And as I've always said, if you might not be a veteran, but you maybe know a veteran or know a friend or know a family member who loves someone. Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Cruz?
President, I don't have anything for this evening. Thank you.
Councilman Frazier?
I don't have anything else to say. Already said what I wanted to say.
Thank you. Councilman Hoskins?
Thank you. Just going back to the issues that people have been having with DTE. If there were customers who had their power out as of last Monday, the 16th, you should be getting a $100 credit applied to your account. DTE will be notifying you about this. Of course, $100 is probably still not enough if you lost all your food or you lost a day's work because you're working from home. But it is something that they're going to be giving their customers. Also, if you had your power out for the more than 120 hours, you will automatically get the $25 credit that they normally get. Usually you have to apply for it, but they will be automatically applying it to your account. I know in my day job working for Senator Moss, we've been dealing with this throughout our whole district. I mean, Southfield got hit hard, but also in Farmington and Farmington Hills, their power goes up routinely. And we've been talking to DTE. We are hoping to put together some sort of town hall so residents throughout our district can be able to address some of their concerns to DTE. Hopefully we'll have an update on that for you soon. But I just want to make sure that at least on this, that people knew that this was coming to them, and you should be getting that credit applied to your account within 45 days. That is all I have for this evening.
Thank you, and thank you for that information, Councilman Hoskins. Councilman Mandelbaum?
Yeah, thank you. Just to piggyback off what Councilman Banks said about everyone starting up to school, please be mindful of the school buses that are driving in the neighborhoods. When they have their lights on, please don't think that you have enough time to get around. And, please also be mindful for kids that are walking or riding their bikes to school. Please, take a few extra minutes to drive the speed limit. I think is well worth it to avoid something catastrophic. I also wanted to remind everyone or let people know for the first time that the Southfield Parks and Rec and Human Services Department, in conjunction with our Commission on Senior Adults, COSA, is having a senior appreciation night this coming Wednesday from 5 to 8 in the front lawn of the municipal campus on Evergreen Road. Basically, we consider a senior anyone 50, age 50 and up. And it's our way to thank the senior population for everything that they contribute to the community. There will be live entertainment. There'll be vendors and information on different services that are available. And there will be a free bagged hot dog dinner with chips and a pop. So you can come out and have dinner at the city front lawn on this Wednesday from 5 to 8. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I just echo what all of my colleagues have already said. Let's stay safe and watch for the children. Slow down on the residential streets now, and just be more aware of our surroundings and our children that's running to the bus that may not be looking. Let's just pay more attention and be careful, be safe. Remember to sign our petition for DTE. And that's about all I have for tonight. So I will turn it over to you, Mayor.
Thank you. Once again, I just wanted to encourage people to go to the moveon.org, browse the petitions, and then type in the search City of Southfield, or go to the city website and you'll find the link under City News. I also wanted to mention, in case anyone missed it, in last Friday's Detroit News, the lead story was on the listing the states that had the most frequent power outages. And the headline, page one headline reads, Michigan among worst states for power outages. And we are actually fourth from the bottom, or maybe it's in the top 5 for the number, or however you want to list it, for the number of power outages. And this data comes from the Energy Information Administration of the U.S. Government's Office on Energy, which tracks energy statistics nationally. So Michigan is in the same bottom tier with Mississippi, West Virginia, Maine, and California for power outages. And according to the statistics of the Energy Information Administration, about 40% of the power failures are due to old, outdated, worn out equipment. And about 60% are due to weather events. Clearly, DTE needs to invest more in our infrastructure. Mayor Garrett of Lathrop Village, myself, Administrator Zorn, and Council President Taylor will be having a conversation with DTE on Wednesday morning to further this dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Zorn?
Madam President, I would like to just encourage people to sign the petition. I think it's our best way to express our concerns to Detroit Edison as well as the Public Service Commission. We will make sure that the $100, which I was not aware of, is on the city's website. I know our Human Services Department has been helping residents fill out the claim, and we'll continue to do that. To want to caution people about COVID, we need to, this variant seems to be very challenging, and encourage people just to not let our guard down and to get vaccinated. That's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Attorney?
Yes, good evening, Council President and Mayor, City Council. I don't have anything to add. Just want to wish everybody a happy Labor Day if I don't see you all.
Thank you. Our City Clerk?
Good evening, everyone. Just to encourage everyone that August 26th is Women's Equality Day. There's several events around that are virtually that will help women celebrate the 101st anniversary of women getting the right to vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Our Treasurer?
Nothing to report, just reminder again about the tax deadline coming up August 31st. And that's everything. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our city planner, if he's still on the call. I don't think so. Our city assessor.
Good evening. I don't have anything new to report right now. Thanks.
Thank you. City engineer. Okay. We have nothing to schedule, no new ordinances. Anyone have anything else they want to add before I end the meeting? Hearing none, I now declare this meeting adjourned. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.